We'll call this facility meeting to order this morning, 9:30. Everybody could join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, could I get a motion to approve our agenda?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion? Is anything that needs to be added or removed to the agenda? Right. With that being said, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll approve the agenda and we'll move on to Jeremy with the rink update.
So, I believe you guys got packets for the reimbursement. For the second and third quarter.
We have all the information.
Um. On there, for the second quarter, it's basically just Zamboni stuff, one of our. And then rotary hammer would be for the parking lot pavers. In the parking lot, and working at replacing those. And that's what we have there. And then in the third quarter, you know, we got the level ice system put into or onto the new Zamboni. At that same time that when I actually requested that from Youth and Rec, that was to do one rink. In hindsight, I should have done it for two. I was mostly concerned about it being used on our sheet that is in year round, and that the curlers were using, being that the other sheet's only in for 5 months. It wasn't as critical, or at the time thinking about it, I wasn't sure that that's what I wanted to do. But since we've been doing a lot better, we hadn't decided to upgrade the system to cover both sheets of ice. And that expense that you see in the third quarter would be to cover the power unit that runs the other sheet. And also I upgraded it with a water system to coincide with that level ice system. Now, obviously that was my choice to spend that money, but it's just something that I wanted to make sure that was on there for you guys to see, you know, that system was upgraded beyond you know, what the initial ask was from Youth and Rec, which was $20,000, and then I went ahead and spent the extra 14. And then the ice paint, I think we went through in the first quarter also with that. Unfortunately, do you have a way to scan here currently, or well, I'll make sure that our profit statement sent over to you guys. We were in the middle of talking about this yesterday and meant to do it, and I guess Sen didn't get hit on it for you guys to do or see that. And if you want, I can just pass it across. But basically what I did was went January through November of 2023 and 2022 also, being that we're not at the end of the year. And we see our gross profit over last year. We're about $110,000 ahead of where we were last year. Last year we were at at $516,000, and this year at $625,000. Our expense basically reflected that, where we, our expense went up $105,000, so still managed to keep $5,000 of it, but costs went up. Trying to take care of employees and stuff like that, though. And just make sure that we're, you know, maintaining things and taking care of the facility. So we are at the end of the month, basically, for the fourth quarter, but we didn't submit the reimbursement for the fourth quarter due to the fact that currently trying to get our camera system over there updated. We've had a couple different things over the past year happen. Where vehicles that had the converters cut off of them in our parking lot that were parked overnight there. And just a few other minor incidents inside the building. And that camera system was, I believe, donated from the hospital, oh boy, back probably like in 2009, and installed. It was a used system then. So it's just at the point where it really needs to be updated. So it's something else that I'm working on to hopefully get done. They're supposed to get back to me today to get done before the end of the year or whatever, anyways, for that fourth quarter. Not extremely critical, but it's just something we're trying to do.
Are they fixing what you have or you're getting a new system?
Just a completely new system.
Okay.
Yeah. The cameras, it's quite outdated. It was outdated really when we got it. It was nice to have, but a lot of times we found when we had incidents, you couldn't zoom with it. Basically, the only thing that you could go off of was trying to figure out what somebody was wearing or a vehicle description, and then try and hope to catch it on another camera where you had a better close-up view to you know, try and figure out what's going on there. So
Okay. Are they gonna be able to complete it before the end of the year?
I'm gonna install it, and the nice thing is all the units, everything, it should just be plug and play. Everything's already run, all the wires, the power is there, so it should just be something that I can just take our scissor lift through and unplug stuff and plug stuff back in, so.
Okay, gotcha. So I guess the important thing for you is that it hits your budget this year yet?
Well, that's what I'm trying, but like I say, it's not absolutely critical, but that was just the reason that I didn't bring the fourth quarter
Okay.
with us, you know, right now at this current time.
Can you get Kim the fourth quarter
Yep.
with that excluded, so we have a better idea of what that looks like?
Yep.
I wouldn't imagine that'd be a huge expense.
No, I'm guessing probably somewhere through $3,500 to $5,000 there, but with me doing the installation, I think it's gonna probably be, you know, quite a big saving.
Oh, sure, no doubt.
Just waiting on them to get that back to us.
Okay, great. Yeah, that'd be great if you could send that along.
Have any other questions, but like I say, I'll send along the snapshots of that profit and loss also, so you kind of follow it along and see expense through you know, whatever it is, you know, be it janitorial supply or anything like that, and skate and whatnot. That's open skate is probably what I attribute most of our success, that in the high school hockey team last year. Getting, you know, the excitement in the community and lots more people in there.
Sure, no doubt.
Are you asking for the reimbursement request of $16,009.88? My reading.
Well, and you know, I will leave that up to you guys. I actually originally didn't really want to do this at all. But it is part of the contract, so you know, I'm leaving that, you know, up to you guys and your discretion. You know, I'm just bringing forward what we've done, basically, so.
Now that,
I can for sure understand that, you know, these are pretty big asks, but they're, you know, it is, I guess, just kind of nature of the beast of what was requested, the way the contract is. I know there was some talk of revamping the contract. And that's actually not something that I'm really comfortable with doing in the midst of this agreement, but I am definitely, you know, open and up to your discretion, and can completely understand that, you know, we don't want to deplete that surcharge. For sure.
Oh, no.
And this year, obviously, profit and loss will help show that, you know, the difference between last year and this year. Now, this year, you'll see that on the surcharge in that profit and loss. This year was ended with last year's high school hockey season. So that surcharge took a big jump last year. This year, it'll probably be down a little bit because the high school has only 10 games in town. There's not quite the hype with the team, but the good news is our coach is pushing to have 15 or 16 home games next year. So that kind of fluctuates with the public school system. They are, you know, school systems in general have a tendency to have home and away years. It's annually. One year they're home quite a bit, the next year they're not. And last year was a home year also. So, but the success of the team also made a big difference.
That level ice system, is that the one you took it upon yourself to put in? You didn't have the money?
We actually got a grant through Youth and Rec.
Right, but for only one, you said?
Correct.
And you went ahead and did the second one?
Yes, correct.
Didn't go back to Youth and Rec?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Not go back to Youth and Rec about the second one?
I talked to Tony about it, but it wasn't something that Youth and Rec was comfortable doing, I don't think. And we actually, that process started like before 2020. And so we're where we're at because they allowed us to extend that to different sessions actually, or two actually years. So it was actually.
Yeah, and you couldn't wait till the next year to go back?
You know, the machine, it took me about 6 months to get that machine down there and get them into the process of actually doing it. So I figured at the time the machine was there, I would just go ahead and get it taken care of.
I understand, we keep spending money out of that little pot we got. We have a big problem at that rink and we have to pay for it, and we don't have the money because you make decisions upon yourself to go ahead and put something in. I think you should have waited and went back to Youth and Rec. Because truthfully, I don't even, how much money do we have in that?
We have $124,348 in the NLA surcharge fund. For 2023, there had been budgeted $25,000 of an expenditure to install the egress stairwell. I'm guessing that at this point that's not going to happen. There was also $8,000 budgeted for sealing of exterior brick. Since that hasn't happened yet, I'm going to assume that that also is not going to occur. So you had $32,000 that had been budgeted as expenditures for 2023 that have not occurred. For the NLA surcharge fund, the current policy says that the following are examples of what should be perceived as essential areas that surcharge fund money may be directed towards. And one of them is all components for creating and maintaining the ice, which I think the leveling system could be interpreted to fall under. So this is a permitted use for the surcharge funds. You do have money that was budgeted for 2023. It was budgeted for other things. And the question is, are those things still going to be things that should be happening in 2024 or 2025 that then we would need to be pulling off of this fund? There was $13,248 in surcharge that has been deposited year to date into the surcharge fund.
What was that number?
$13,247.50.
Why wasn't the two things that was budgeted for, why wasn't that completed?
I just didn't take the time to get the quotes to do that.
I thought
I
you,
tried to talk to several different people about doing it, but they weren't interested, so. I guess I also thought that it was my understanding that that money was gonna be budgeted out of the general fund and not out of the surcharge.
No, those were surcharge projects.
What was the second project, the egress stairwell?
The egress stairwell,
And what was the other one?
to seal the exterior brick,
And what was the dollar amount for that?
8,000.
I remember the stairwell one, yeah. Wasn't that a stairwell one? Didn't you say that was essential to get done? I remember,
Probably should have been done before the building got occupancy.
well, I hadn't do with that. But I mean, if you put in to get that done, it should have been done. Instead of that, you did that ice system.
County has had those plans on their desk for, I believe, 13 years, so,
For the stairwell?
yes.
And you had the money to do it and you didn't do it.
Pardon?
We budgeted the money to get it done and you didn't do it, so you can't blame the county for that. Money was there. The ice paint and vinyl. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems to me we had an issue with this before. That the county didn't pay for I could be wrong. The ice paint or the vinyl,
Yeah, we haven't received any correspondence from the first quarter, so I'm not really sure where we're at with that.
I'm going to make a motion that we not pay this. He did request the money from Youth and Rec for one. He did not ask for the second and took it upon himself to do the second, but not having the money. And now he wants to take $16,000 out of the pot that we have for putting on a new roof if it happens to happen, or a furnace. And if we keep touching that money, when it comes to big expenses, it's not going to be there. And it's going to be up to the county to pay it. That's my motion. Turn it down.
Are you referring to the third quarter reimbursement request or the first quarter or both? I'm sorry, Commissioner Foyt, I just want to make sure we're clear.
No, I guess there's so many papers here. What's the,
The first quarter reimbursement was for the 2,000 and some dollars, and the third quarter reimbursement included the ice leveling system for the
So-
16,000.
well, the whole total I have is $16,009, and that was for,
That's the
all
third.
right, so there's another,
Brenda,
oh, here it is. Okay.
could I ask you to amend your motion
Well,
to approve both quarters with the exception of the $14,000 so we can get the other bills taken care of? Because those were pretty cut and dry. And then we could, with the motion, we could add that we could have further discussion on this $14,000 line item.
so you want to take the 14,000 off the 16, well, no, it'd be more than that. It would be
14,000.
16,0988, and then you've got another 2,020.73. So that's 18,030.61. And you want me to make a motion to just take off the $14,015. And what about that ice and paint vinyl? I I don't think we're supposed to pay.
Well,
And it's on here. And I do not believe that we have to pay for that. So I'm going to take off, say the $14,015 and take off the $1,685. So that's 15,710. And what's this other one? Floor scrubber, hammer repair, Sam Bowie. Okay, so we take off the 15,710 out of the 18. If I'm doing this right. 15,710. 1,033. Okay, so I will make my motion. It will take off the ice level system at $14,015. And we'll take off the ice paint in the vinyl at $1,685. So that total, I've got $15,710, and take that off from the 1,830. So that would bring it down to a total of 2,000. I turned on my calculator. You've been keeping track of this? No. Yeah.
Disagree with you, Brenda, on this.
That take off.
I think we should approve this thing. We should approve the request and get this done with. Instead of screwing around.
No, I'm sorry. I made a motion.
I'm not gonna second your motion then.
so if we do,
I take off 15,700 off the $18,030.61, if I did it right. Okay, 16.
The money is there to,
The money is in the, yes, we do have the money to do repairs on the building. And in case we ever need to put in a roof, or if we have to do the furnace, the the heaters, we ain't gonna have the money because we're gonna keep spending money out of that little bit we have, to the point where the county's gonna end up paying. And that's not how,
get this paid for, and then you can put it.
I got a motion
You're
on,
not gonna do any,
you can't say we're not gonna do any more because they're gonna come back for more. Because they know that pool of money is there.
forgive my ignorance, if I'm the chair of this board, am I allowed to vote? Can I second her motion?
Yes, you
Is that-
can.
Yes.
Yes, you can second.
Can support you technically under Robert's rules, you shouldn't be making motions as the chair, but you can support a motion.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay,
So that's my motion.
so let's
And just, and I apologize, I should have printed out and had for you guys in the packet, the surcharge fund policy so that you could have that in front of you to refresh your recollections. And Commissioner Konazarski, in the past, the discussion has been around the interpretation of a particular line in the surcharge fund, which is this issue of all components for creating and maintaining the ice. And the discussion has been, does paint that goes in the ice for marking stuff, does that count as components for creating and maintaining ice? And in past committee meetings, the discussion, the feeling has been that no, paint is not considered part of making and maintaining the ice. I think there are people who felt strongly one way and people who felt strongly another way. But the last reimbursement request, the paint was not approved for reimbursement. But again, so that is the line in the surcharge reimbursement fund. So the surcharge reimbursement funds can be used for building shell, including foundations, walls, roof and insulation, internal partitions, so decks, columns, miscellaneous support, external appurtenances, it's a great word, sidewalks, landings, pathways, parking lots, and lighting. All electrical, including lights and mechanical hookups for starters, compressors, and pumps, excluding light bulbs. That's an operator cost. All mechanical and plumbing fixtures. All components for creating and maintaining the ice, including Zambonis and compressors. All doors and door jams. All glazing. All safety devices such as sprinkler systems and alarms. Future additional amenities as prescribed by law or code. And then larger equipment used in maintaining the facility, i.e. equipment valued over $5,000. If surcharge funds are used to purchase, then the equipment will be owned by the county. So those are the permitted uses for surcharge funds. Which doesn't mean you have to use them for those. Those are permitted uses for the surcharge funds.
Yes, before you make your decision, Trav, I'll say, you know, I get it from the ice paint standpoint and people's view both ways. And I'm fine with that. I'm just here fulfilling portion of the contract that is, you know, needs to be fulfilled. The fourth quarter does have probably more than what that ice paint is in expense in ceiling repair in the front entrance, and that is definitely more important to me. So and is obviously part of the facade and entrance of the building has been taken care of or you know, looks good now. So
the expense of the ice at the 14,000 for the leveling, was that the whole dollar amount in the new, for the second system, or
no,
did that include the first rink, the main rink?
no, it was the original ask was for 20,000. The project would have went to 23,000. And then I actually decided to put the other
You know, we do have a motion.
the other 13 or whatever, 14, I guess it came to, on top of it myself. You know, it's something that our electric bills have went down quite significantly when you consider electric. I mean, I think last month, what our bill was like $7,000 or something like that. Normally in the month of November, my bill would probably be in the neighborhood of closer to $10,000. So, you know, a $3,000 a month savings and just electricity cost. You know, that I'm going to see that $14,000 in the next year anyway. So, you know, regardless of if you guys reimburse it, it was just a smart decision. You know,
Sure.
I think I'm comfortable with my smart decisions being that I'm $100,000 this year over what I was last year. So that's, you know, I know you guys have tough decisions to make.
So this is in the third quarter, Mary Catherine, can we revisit this portion of this for the fourth quarter?
When they submit their fourth quarter reimbursements, you could ask them to roll it over, or you could reconsider this as part of a fourth quarter reimbursement.
Okay,
And I'm absolutely fine with that. I don't,
so Brendan, can you clarify for me, if I'm understanding right, your motion is to pay all of the bills in the second and third quarter with the exception of these two line items?
Yes,
Okay,
those two line items came to $15,700. I added it correctly. So I made the motion to pay the $2,330.61. But these two reimbursement requests.
okay,
Because the paint and vinyl, we did have a big discussion on that and we were not to pay it. And as far as the second level ice system, that's not our fault. He did not put in for the two, just the one. and then did the second one on his own, I don't feel as though we should have to pay for it.
So-
Like I said, if we keep going into that pool of money, because it's there, when something big happens, it's not gonna be there and the county's gonna end up paying it.
So Mary Catherine, forgive my, my ignorance here. I know it's been almost a year, but all these situations don't always arise. If I would like to ask Brenda to amend her decision to moving these line items onto the fourth quarter for further discussion, should I be seconding her motion and then adding that during discussion, or should I ask her to amend the motion before I second?
You would want to ask her to amend the motion before you, because if she doesn't amend the motion, then you have to make a decision about whether or not you're going to support her motion or let it fail for lack of a second and then make another motion. Or if she agrees to amend her motion, then you could support it and move forward with a vote.
Okay. So Brenda, I would like to ask you to amend your motion one more time to pay the second and third quarter bills for reimbursement with the exception of these two line items and move them on to the fourth quarter for some further discussion for the
When's
next,
the fourth quarter?
well, it ends in a week, but the decisions won't be made for it until now January, right? Okay,
Okay, and we're not having our next meeting until next year.
right.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm leaving my motion as stands. It's wrong and I feel as though we pay them the $2,330.61. He can go back to Youth and Rec and ask for the additional amount. But he already spent it, so I don't know we're gonna give it to him. I mean,
Okay.
wrong's wrong. That's my motion.
Okay. So, I'm going to second Brenda's motion to pay these with the exception of these two line items. And I guess I would encourage you to, come back with the next quarter with the information that we discussed with a little bit better layout and see if we can get it done then with maybe a little bit bigger group. And the reason that I'm going with Brenda's motion, there's a couple of them. I do agree with her. It is a big spend. If you were anticipating asking for it, the next time, bring it to us ahead of time. And I know it was a split second decision, but it was also a $14,000 split second decision. If you come back with this on your next reimbursement and we have some more information to go off of, like your power bills, it would be probably a little bit easier to stomach and maybe we can figure something out. I will also just add that I think you definitely should make it a priority to get these egress stairs and the brick on your budget for next year and on your radar. Try to get some stuff in motion, because I know it has been talked about a few times in the year that I've been here. The money is there. I think we can move the money to 24. So it would be good if we can get that stuff done. Again, a little bit of ammunition to move forward with things like this when they pop up, if we're doing what we say we're gonna do. So I'm not trying to come down on you. I just, that's kind of where we're at, I think, as a collective group. So,
Okay, we have a motion, we have a
okay,
second.
we have a motion, we have a second.
Roll call.
Take a roll call vote and move on.
Commissioner LaHaye,
No,
Commissioner Fournier,
You voted no to what?
The motion.
your motion.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Yes.
sure, we're doing it right. Say yes.
Okay, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Go, Nikki.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nikki Yanish. I'm here with the Home Improvement Program. And I've got 4 projects to present to this committee, hoping to move forward on these programs. Obviously, are not slated to get start to finish in 2023, but definitely underway in 2024. I will take them one at a time. I'm assuming that the preference would be is to consider them individually. The first project is project number EM 22-10. And this is a homeowner that requires the installation of a new septic tank and drain field. The current situation at that property, as I've summarized in my memo, is pretty emergent. It's uncertain how long this system is going to be functioning for this occupant, and we're very grateful that there's just one occupant in there right now, because we feel like if there was additional use, it would be more emergent than it is. But as I've indicated, we've already pulled the permit from the local health department, which dictates the specifics of the installation of that new system and what's required. Everything from this homeowner lines up to qualify for our emergency repair combined with housing preservation grant program. Based on ownership, property taxes are current, insurance is current, income eligible, all of the considerations that we make under our guidelines. This homeowner qualifies, and the estimated cost of this project, I'd like to point out, and this will carry over to the other projects. When I refer to estimated costs, that is our program inspector's estimate. So that is really a best guess from our inspector. That we do not seek out contractor quotes and estimates until after I receive approval to move forward. So when I say that's an estimated cost, that's what that's based on at this point. I just wanted to clarify that. So that could go up or down once we actually have licensed contractors providing those right to the penny concrete numbers for us. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Based on the estimated cost, it exceeds $15,000, and under our guidelines, all projects over $15,000, I need to bring those to you to seek approval to move forward. And all of our projects over $15,000 qualify for a deferred 0% interest loan on the home. And that is a lien that would sit on the home for the lifetime of this occupant owning and occupying the home. So the lien is attached to the home more than it's attached to the homeowner. And if ownership of that home ever moved, we would get reimbursed our money, and then that becomes funding to put back into the community through our program. And I'm just asking for permission to move forward on this project.
I do have one quick question. When you get the estimates, could you just share those with this group?
Yes.
I'm only asking because we just had to put in a new septic and drain field. And they had to do a lot of work, and it was a pretty good size field with like 3 tanks at one of our properties, and it was only like 13,000.
Gotcha. Part of this one, we actually originally had an estimated number under $15,000, and I wouldn't have even been before you today because I have the discretion within the guidelines to move forward on those projects. It actually was when the first contractor showed up on site and walked into the backyard and just looked around and saw where the property lines were and said, I can't put the system in the space that this property sits in the backyard. It's a very oddly shaped piece of property. And so conversations were had with the health department. And so all these conversations within our inspector, the health department, one proposed contractor to determine, yes, we made a goof and we needed to change our specifications in that permit. And so a portion of the system has to be moved off to the side of the home. And now we have to deal with an added cost of tree removal, which I indicated in. So it's not just the tree removal, it's also going to be modified lines into the home. So we can't basically put things where the system already was sitting. We're not really even sure that it has a drain field right now. We think it's going through a makeshift tank. And so there's a lot of questions with what's there, but it's a very tiny backyard. So it actually was the change in the specifications that elevated the estimated cost.
And that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'd like to look for a motion to get this project moving forward.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Got a motion,
I'll support.
Bill, and we've got support from Commissioner Fournier. We'll I guess we need a vote, probably.
A roll call would be.
Roll call vote on this?
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Konarshewski.
Yes. All right, on to the next.
Next one has a project number of EM 22-14. This is a homeowner that came to see us regarding a severely deteriorated roof and siding. And both of those are activities that are allowable activities under both our emergency repair and housing preservation grant programs. You'll hear me refer to both of those programs through each of these projects. We basically combine those dollars and it stretches both of those sources of money farther. And both of those funding sources like to see us combining those dollars and how we're spending those grant funds. Just to clarify. When at the home, our inspector has a duty, it's not our duty to necessarily bring every home up to code completely, but when things are observed and noticed on site, when looking at something else, it is our policy not to spend our dollars on one problem when we see another very serious hazard that's right there plain and day in front of us, which is how we discovered some, handrail guardrails on the porches that are pretty dire. It's not safe for the homeowner the way it's sitting right now. So our program inspector insisted on including those in the specifications. And a couple of minor electrical issues, and they are very minor. I shouldn't say that. It does include installing 100-amp electrical service and upgrading some receptacles in the kitchen and bathroom. They're all very old and not protected. And he refers to some old wiring and contact hazards that exist. So those were not on our radar when we went to the home, but when he discovers those things, we don't like to put our dollars into a home and then have them still sitting there with a fire hazard for obvious reasons. So I've summarized the homeowner's eligibility, same thing here. Based on ownership status, income guidelines, taxes and insurance are current. This one does have an outstanding lien on the home. That outstanding mortgage is $19,000. The homeowner is in good standing in her first mortgage. The SEV on the home is $39,700. If we take the generic way of estimating a value and double that number, we are almost at $80,000. So the estimated cost of this project is proposed to be $21,700. So we would be putting a second mortgage on this home that, again, I believe there's plenty of equity in the home. And what we're doing will likely increase that value regardless. And I would propose or recommend and seek your approval to go forward. That's $21,700 that will sit on the home as a lien that we will receive back later on when this homeowner no longer owns and occupies the home. And again, that's future spending for our program.
Okay, we'll look for a motion to get approval on this project as well.
I'll make a motion to approve 2214 project.
Okay. Got a second from you, Brenda?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got
Thank you.
motion from Commissioner Lay, a second from Commissioner Fournier. We'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konarshewski.
Yes.
I just have one question for you. Is it me or is it? On all these loans you have, everybody's no interest, preferred. Do you ever?
No, that's what was written into our guidelines a year ago when we redid our guidelines. We had an ad hoc committee that discussed all of that and determined how we were going to do future loans. And it was determined and really agreed upon that it was not an efficient way to use the staff time to have to sit to be collectors for $20 payments a month. It doesn't benefit the program by many dollars to be able to put these dollars back into the community. So adding interest on the projects just became more work for the office with very little turnaround or very little benefit from that. So it was written into our guidelines to have all 0% interest loans, which is very consistent with other organizations throughout the state. And deferring all of those loans and just getting future payback in the years ahead.
So it doesn't matter how much their income is, or,
It does not.
so I can come to you and if I need a new roof, you're gonna give it to me, and
If you meet all
I
of our
can-
income guidelines, absolutely.
what
Yeah.
is your guidelines?
Pardon?
What is your guidelines?
It's based on HUD numbers, based on 80% of the, gosh, what's my terminology?
AMI, area
Thank
median
you.
income.
I just drew a blank. 80% of the AMI. HUD posts those numbers based on the geography of our location in the country and in the state. So those numbers vary by county, by state. And that's, I can tell you just specifically for this one homeowner. 80% income limit for a one-member household in this location is $42,400. And that is not a negotiable number. That is bottom line. Somebody calls my office and that's the first question we ask, because if their income exceeds that number, there's nothing I can do for them. We can't sway from that in any way, any form. There's no discretion for us to work with that. It's the same number that Habitat for Humanity uses in their programs. It's the same number that weatherization uses in their programs. It's all the same and it's all set by the federal government.
So you decided to change it because it's a waste of your time for somebody to come in and pay on their mortgage or charge interest.
That is one way to reword what I just said, sure.
I just
found
eventually,
What's that?
don't you think you're gonna run out of money, or?
Not at all.
It's a state
I
funded.
know it's state funded, but that,
Year after year right now, we are in the $100,000 range a year to spend. And if we started to get more dollars than what we're receiving, honestly, we would go back to the world of struggling to spend it. And then we're running the risk of paying back money. So as long as we're getting the dollars in that are keeping the program operating and it's generating enough in administrative fees to support the cost of the program, it's working out really wonderfully. And if it ever comes to the time that that needs to be relooked at, we can come together and we can have new discussions and reconsider those guidelines. Those guidelines are established by the Alpena County Board of Commissioners, and they can be looked at on an annual basis. They can be looked at as often as anyone decides that they should. But right now, they're working really, really well.
well, yeah, you know.
Can we approve this 22, 28?
All right. We've got a motion for approval on the floor from Bill. Looking for a second.
I'll second it.
We've got a second from Commissioner Fournier. On to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
Yes. All right, on to your last one.
Last one. This one's a little bit bigger, and this is going to be a combination of more than just our emergency repair and housing preservation grant programs. The homeowner actually applied through the MISHDA My Hope program, which is a separate fund that we received through MISHDA. And it's basically ARPA money that was funded through the state to do an energy efficiency related program with that funding. Our organization applied for and was approved for $400,000 of that funding. And we have until 2026 to spend those dollars. We have to have all projects under contract by fall of 2024. So we're actually getting under the wire to get all of the homeowners selected and under contract and get the work underway. So I've summarized in my memo everything that this homeowner needs that would qualify under those My Hope dollars. And the reason I worded my memo the way that I did is because what is needed in this home is extensive. It's not, I don't want to make it sound like it's not a nice home. It's actually a very nice home in many, many ways. It needs a new face on it, and the insurance company is threatening to cancel insurance on this home unless the homeowner addresses the appearance on the exterior of the home. So they specifically, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on a different project. My bad. Let's back up. Project EM 2228. This is not the exterior of the home. This is requiring furnace and bathroom repairs.
What we're viewing is 2231.
right, they approved the 2214 one.
2214 was approved. The next one on the list is 2228. I started talking about 31 if we want to just stay out of order.
That's. I don't know if we have 28, do we?
You do.
But here,
Okay.
Can you just run back? They have which ones have they approved so far, Kim?
The first, second, and then the third one, I believe.
So we started out with 10
we approved that.
Mhm.
Did.
and then we approved 10 and then 14.
14.
And then Bill made a motion to go ahead and approve 2228.
Correct.
That passed. So you are on
Got you.
2231 now.
my hope.
Okay.
Yep,
You were right.
you were right.
Yeah, so I was right. I just didn't put that file down.
Yep.
Sorry for the confusion.
That's okay.
2231 combined with my hope
Yes.
for 1009030.
You got it.
Okay, now I'm looking at the right memo. I was staring at my memo and it was like, why don't I see anything that I'm talking about here? Anyway, the insurance company has demanded that this homeowner address the windows, doors, soffit, and fascia. And that was the initial request with our program. And she applied for both our emergency repair program and she submitted an application to the state of Michigan under the My Hope program. Those applications go through Lansing and then they get funneled back to the organization that matches up with the zip code that they reside in. So we really don't connect with the homeowner one-on-one when that initial application is made. But it trickles its way to us. So the My Hope program, the way that works, MISHDA allows up to $25,000 in energy efficiency repairs per address. Okay, so the cost of repairs that would technically fall under the My Hope program actually came to $32,500. Obviously, I don't have enough of that money to do all of those things. But I do have sufficient money under our emergency repair program to let the overage of those fall back on our emergency repair program. And they definitely qualify the area of being a hazard in the home, a potential safety feature. And so that's how I could justify moving forward. While on site, our inspector discovered some electrical concerns that he insisted that we address without doing anything else. And there was some active leaking and plumbing issues in a bathroom that needed to be addressed. So altogether, with the recommendations of our inspector on all of the pieces on this project, the total cost would be $42,500. Because I'm limited on how much of that can be My Hope money, I've calculated or approximated $22,500 will go into the cost through My Hope dollars. And those are dollars that come right from Lansing, and no liens are allowed on the homes for those dollars. We have no discretion on how those we can't ask the homeowner to pay that money back. That grant is written specifically that those funds go into the home with no payback. That leaves approximately $20,000 that we can do under our emergency repair program with a deferred loan at 0% interest. And then that is money that we will get back into our emergency repair program later on when the homeowner no longer occupies and owns the home.
So how much total?
Pardon?
How much total?
Between all programs, $42,500.
The home was only worth 36.4.
Yeah, it will drastically increase, sure. But and if you double that, it's probably worth more like $73,000. There's no lien on the home now. So our mortgage of approximately $20,000 would be the one and only lien on the home. So the risk is very low. We're going to get our money back if the home sells. Whether it's in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years.
Make a motion, we approve this 2231.
All right, we have a motion. Good for a second. Second the motion. And I'll open it for discussion because I have some questions and Brenda may as well. Where are you at year to date with your dollars for your program?
Oh my gosh. So it's really hard to answer that question to a T because my fiscal year on our emergency repair program is July 1 to June 30th.
Oh, okay. And
So-
I was only asking because I forgot that that's when it ended. I thought your end was yours.
Yes, and so right now in that spending year, I actually just did the numbers through November 30th. And we have an award right now in the emergency repair side of things of 115,000. And I'm at, I believe I've spent since July 1, 40,000, 30 to 40,000. I apologize, I don't have that in front of me. And so when I talk about $20,000 here falling through emergency repair and HPG, I'll take about 10 off of the emergency repair and the other 10 from HPG. So those are two grants that are running simultaneously that I'm really just at the halfway point of those fiscal spending years.
Okay. So you're about halfway through your fiscal year and you're about halfway through your money. Okay. And that's kind of obviously how you probably like to make it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It does make it very complicated to be able to present that in front of you in black and white because of all three programs, HPG, emergency repair, and My Hope, they all are operating on a different calendar. So the HPG, I'm gonna spend by March 31st. The emergency repair, I'm gonna spend by June 30th. And My Hope, I just have to have under contract by fall of this next year. So there's nothing lines up side by side to say when this pot of money has to be
Okay.
spent out.
Where are you at with your My Hope dollars? Because that was,
Committed. I have homeowners to speak for all of those dollars.
okay, all of the 600?
That's 400,000.
Okay.
And we actually, I didn't share this, and I'll just take this opportunity. We have been chosen as a high performer. So in the Mishta world, because I've been able to commit those dollars to specific addresses, some organizations statewide that have received money that they have not been successful in committing some of those dollars, the state is going to pull back and disperse those back out to some high performers. So I've been offered an opportunity to ask for some of those dollars to add to that pot. So that actually just came out. It was announced in our meeting this week. So
Good.
so there, that pot may grow. And there may be more homeowners that we can invite in to take advantage of those dollars.
Great. When you come back to us, maybe you could just throw together a quick little piece, and it doesn't even really need to be a spreadsheet, just show, if you could, how many dollars you have on your docket to spend and how many we've already spent for
Absolutely.
all three programs.
Sure,
Maybe the calendar for when those are,
sure.
just out of curiosity. And I'm glad that we are eligible for additional funds because at the end of the day, this money ends up back in our community.
It does.
So,
Yes. And just, just telling you the example that I just gave, some organizations statewide received this funding and they're not spending it and they don't have, for whatever reason. And perfect example, the state's going to pull it back. If they're not, the December 31st, they have to have 20% of their funds committed. And if they don't, those are going into that first batch of money that the high performers can ask for to come into their organizations.
great. All right, can we do a roll call vote on this last one? I'm sorry, Brenda, did I sell you short? Did you have any questions?
When did you said county commissioners redid the guidelines on this?
Mhm.
When was that done?
Fall of 2022. It was a project, you were on that committee, as a matter of fact, that was between August, October of 2022, I believe. Yes, the date on my approved guidelines, they finally went to board approval in October of 2022.
That was right after Thea Lucas left.
It
About a
was
year.
a whole year after it was.
I think that maybe this ought to be relooked at. And maybe see if something can be done. I love to help people. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, I think people, they can afford to give $5 or $10 and they ought to be able to do it. I mean,
Some do.
you're just letting these people have everything for free. And, you know, that's not how this world is today. And I'll say back in the day, I had 3 children, no husband. And they wouldn't give me food stamps because I made too much money slinging hash in a restaurant. Nowadays, you walk in and say, well, I make $40,000 and I need food stamps. They'll give you whatever you want. No wonder this world is the way it is today. And people are lazy. They shouldn't, why work? They can get it handed to them. I think this should be relooked at.
I can just make,
I'll say yes on the last one and just let it go.
no, okay.
Okay, so we get a roll call vote?
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konarshewski.
Yes.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's the way
Yeah, we all know it's a broken system.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah, and we ain't helping it any.
Unless you got a tough act to follow there. You got a tough act to follow.
Now, what do you want, Wes?
I'm not here to ask for money.
Oh, right. Then you're
Star
allowed
of
to
the
say.
day.
Yeah. For the project status report, the damage to the center restroom, there's just a little bit of touch-up painting on some windows, stuff like that. We'll complete that spring. The compressor replacement at the health department is done. Still waiting to get control solution over there to look at that little oil leak. The individual power meters at the fairgrounds were installed on the 11th of this month. All at the airport, the doors are there. I believe they're actually out framing up wall today, getting that going. The health department, the flooring is complete. We've got 3 door frames in high traffic areas that we will be taking care of on Friday. Friday is a holiday for them, so there will be nobody there. We'll wrap that job up. Caretaker's house, a little bit of texturing to do on the wall and prime paint. We have not gotten to the floor yet, though. The merchant's building repairs and paint, exhaust fans have been replaced. 2 of them were waiting. We were able to get new motors for them instead of replacing the whole fan, so we're waiting for the motors to come in. We'll be putting FRP in the shower areas so they can be kept clean better than they have been. And then we'll get on with some painting and whatnot. We did have AED donated from, I don't remember the fellow's name, but it went through the fire station and they contacted us. They will be donating, or they already have actually donated to AED. So while we're doing this work, we're gonna mount it there where people can get at it and use it.
That's in the merchant's building?
Yes, in the restroom area of the merchant's building, because that area is open, it's heated, it's then available, 24/7 basically. The animal control building.
So I have a quick question on that and so the AED unit will just stay there all the time or just through the winter?
All the time.
Okay,
And I intend to put an air tag on it,
gotcha. Okay,
so.
yeah. Probably not a bad idea. That's a fine line. You want to put it where people know where it is and where they can use it, but unfortunately, the public restroom does trigger some people that may want it just for at home, It stinks, but it is what it is. I thought maybe we should put it in the kitchen with a sign in the bathroom that says the AED located in the kitchen.
But the kitchen's kept locked.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and not heated.
It's restroom is the only place that.
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
available.
Yeah, hopefully it'll stay there.
Yeah. So the animal control building, there was a write-up on the paint coming up off the floor.
So after the first of the year, we will be moving them out of that building into the merchants building. We're gonna try to put some primer down on the floor to see if we can get the new epoxy paint to stick a little bit better. We've already purchased all that material at that shop. It was Michelle's choice to wait till after the first of the year, so that's what we're doing.
It might, just, I'll throw a suggestion out there only because I went through the same thing. It sounds like, I rented like a scarifier or a floor grinder from Fitzpatrick's. It was, I think, less than $120 for the whole day. And we just kind of went over our floor and roughed it all up. It kind of took all that stuff off and it gave it a good concrete surface for that epoxy to adhere to. Right?
We'll look into that.
Yeah, it's because I know that epoxy paint is extremely expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all materials, primer and the paint, all that, I think we're into for about $700.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And if there's a concern, it might not stick. It might not be a bad idea.
Well, I know there's a concern with it not sticking because it's already peeled worn.
Right.
It was epoxy paint that was put down and it lasted for 3 or 4 years, but
Yeah,
but now it's a write up again, so
sure.
we'd like to avoid that if we can, so I will definitely look into that.
Yeah, it might not be a bad thought. The only other question I have was on the flooring in the house. What is the holdup with that thing?
Just, we've been working at the health department. There's some days I've had 5 people out there painting,
Gotcha,
trying to keep up with the people installing the flooring, so
gotcha. Perfect.
that will be starting. If not this week, next week, we got.
Okay.
So.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, it'd be good to get that done. I know he's been patient,
Yeah,
so. Okay, awesome.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. It doesn't look like we have anybody here from the fairgrounds.
No, but Patrick did drop off his report, which you have. So, and if anyone has any questions, happy to attempt to answer them.
I ran into Patrick yesterday. He's working 3 jobs.
Busy guy.
Yeah, I don't know how he has time to take care of the fairgrounds.
Fortunately, there's not as much this time of year.
Winter's a
How do you think?
He's full on storage, so until people want to take something out, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said Saturday it was good stuff in storage.
good
Yeah.
deal. Okay, we'll accept Patrick's report and move on to Mary Catherine.
Yeah, so the first thing under me is fairground strategic planning. So this is something the board had asked me to look into. There's actually a really fantastic program that I discovered through Michigan State University, which is a program to help. I call it the Sustainable Built Environment Initiative, which is specifically to help communities plan around public spaces and to develop sustainable planning and design ideas for local issues and opportunities. So I think it would be a really fantastic program for the county to apply for and receive funding to help with that sort of, strategic planning around the fairgrounds. It is on hiatus, but we'll hopefully start accepting applications again in the spring. The other option would be to work with Michigan State Extension to do just a straight up visioning process, which wouldn't be specific around a design or a plan, but more kind of big picture thinking about it. And then the next step would be, working on a design plan and next steps for construction. So you could wait until the Sustainable Built Environment Initiative, comes back online and starts accepting applications, or we could move forward with asking MSU Extension to start planning, some kind of a visioning for right after the first of the year. It is entirely up to you guys how you would like to proceed.
So this is like a grant program or something?
Yep, they have funding available through the Sustainable Built Environment Initiative to help pay for the staff that would help with that program. Yes.
Well,
Through MSU Extension in the School of Planning, Design and Construction at Michigan State University.
is there a cost to us asking them to move forward?
There would be a cost through MSU Extension for the visioning. I can't imagine it would be terribly expensive for them to just come in and run a visioning process. It would depend on whether you wanted them to do it just with the board first, or if you wanted a public engagement piece. They are very reasonable. The sustainable built environment, that if you, assuming that the program works when it reopens the way it has been working, that would cover all of the costs associated with that planning process.
So could you move forward and ask them for some sort of estimate? Because I've been in the situations before, and I'm sure you have as well, where we think it's gonna be $500 and it's 5,000. I think if it is a rational cost, I do think we should move forward so we can get ahead of perhaps somebody else that wants the money.
Okay.
Yeah, because spending money with the condition we're in at this time.
So we're after the free money.
Yeah. But as long as it don't cost us a fortune to get it.
Sure.
All right, I can reach out and see
Perfect.
from them.
Thanks.
Okay,
Well, that's exciting news. We'll move on to the next one.
it is. So the canine training sites locations, this is an item that Commissioner Kozlowski asked to add to the agenda today. I will just let you guys know that there is an administrative approval process for use of county property. But you guys can go ahead.
Want me to come up here?
Sure.
Get yourself a dog.
So I was just recently in a meeting at the base. This is Master Sergeant Foley. He runs the scheduling at the base. So he just recently had a scheduling meeting of all the units that are planning to come in to the base throughout this next summer. And one of the discussions was this particular canine unit that is coming that has used other facilities within the city around the area that some of those facilities are no longer going to be available. And I had a discussion with them afterwards, and I mentioned, maybe possibly using the fairgrounds as a site that they could look at. And I know we have the canine unit that comes in October, and you guys probably all see them. You see the cop cars with the canine units all over the city in the probably around end of September, beginning of October. This one's a little bit different. It's an Army, and he probably would be able to answer more to that. It's an Army canine unit. And what they're looking at is to be able to look at potential sites that they could possibly use as for training. So again, like I said, I mentioned to him that the fairgrounds could be a possibility. It isn't my decision. We could bring it to the board for discussion. But, this is one of those, in my mind, I talked to the commander, we actually had a meeting at 10 o'clock. He changed the meeting because he thought that this would be a more important meeting that we come to discuss this and present this.
What time of year would that be?
It's going to be in May.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
There wouldn't be any conflict there when there was?
beginning of the year.
It's early major campgrounds don't open.
Well, I think it's, what did you say it was?
17 to 27 May.
Yeah.
Oh,
So.
You're right at the beginning of the camping season.
And again, one of the discussions, and again, this is, he would have to present this to the canine unit, but they're just looking for facilities that they can go into. One of the things, a lot of the training that the canine units do is, again, I may be wrong with this one, but they like plant drugs and different things to go looking for a search, and
There's different courses.
so they do a lot of stuff, but they need facilities, and I'm like, and I don't know where the pole barns will be at that time of the year, but, just to be able to use a facility and plant whatever they do and have the dogs be able to track this stuff. Like I said, one of the facilities that they have been using, and I think that was one of the concerns, was the Bingham Arts Academy building is potentially not going to be available, and they've used that in the past. So again, they'll use probably some of the facilities at the base, but the canine units like to go out into the community and look at other facilities to use. So it's not like they'd be using the facilities to set up and do anything. It's more of, be able to go in and do whatever they do. We will probably, he will be able to probably give us more information from the unit. We can actually get information from, to get more specifics, but I wanted to at least, we just had the meeting last week and I said, let's put this, and I didn't realize it was perfect timing because I asked to put it on the next facility meeting, which just happens to be today. So we can get more information, but I want to at least put that idea out there that again, the community, the connection between the base and the community. The base does have a lot of units come in, and again, just partnership with the community. I thought this would be a good opportunity to work for that, so.
I agree 100%. Everybody knows the fairgrounds is underutilized. And, the county, at a county level, has put a bunch of money into the air base. And what a better way to get some of that back to bring more people to do training in the community.
I appreciate you saying that. I didn't want to say that. I was thinking that, but I know there's a lot of things that, the base does for the county at the county level. I just thought that this could be a good reciprocal way of working together.
Yeah, definitely. That's my opinion.
I apologize.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't have a problem with it either, really.
And again, like I said, we'll get more information from the unit we're specifically looking for, and then be able to come back. Again, it's 5 months out, but with scheduling with the units, they're always at least 5 months, they're not gonna wait till the month before. They gotta get all their stuff together and be able to mobilize and come to Alpena, so.
I do have a question. Maybe the officer, maybe you could answer it. You said that they look for drugs.
No, I said that.
You said that.
I said,
Somebody
I don't know what this specific unit does for.
Okay, because I know as soon as the campground opens at the fairgrounds, we'll have some early campers. And if you're looking for drugs, this might be a perfect opportunity.
Again, I don't know if they necessarily.
Might not have planned any, hey, Brandon?
So, it may also help the county. Yes.
But and again,
Everybody wins.
any
Yeah.
additional information that we can get, we'll work with the unit to see. And again, I think part of the initial request is he will have to, Sergeant Fuller will have to, would like to go out and take some pictures of the fairgrounds and different facilities possibly that could be utilized and then send to them. Because again, they're looking at, or they're currently know of a couple of facilities that they were using that potentially may not be there. And again, they'll use the base as well, but they like other places in the community. So I guess that was probably more where we were going today, would be at least let him go out there, do some picture taking, see some of the facilities and be able to forward that information to the unit.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Maybe could we get a motion to, move forward today with some initiatives and pictures, and then we'll take this to a full board?
So there's actually a very straightforward process for use of county property and county facilities. There's an administrative form to fill out. So as soon as they have additional information or dates, they can fill out that form and submit it through the commissioner's office, depending on the use. If it's an extraordinary use, it might need to come back to committee, but that's actually an authority that the administrator has, is to approve the use of county facilities if they meet the criterion that are in our facility use policy. Sometimes there's a charge, sometimes there's not, depending on the use and how long they want to be there. And all of that is laid out in our county facilities use policy. So I'll make sure that you have a copy of that so that you can get that filled out.
I'm sure that they shouldn't be a charge. Military.
Yeah.
My God, you're protecting us. Why would we charge you?
And if it's mostly for grounds and barns, then there wouldn't be.
Sure. Great. Well, thanks for bringing that, John.
Okay, thank you.
Forward
We
to
had a
it.
motion, did
Nice to
we
meet you.
all
Thank you.
agree? We had a motion, did we all?
Do we
agree?
need a motion?
Well, yeah, we do.
I mean, you can,
Yes.
but it's not necessarily because the granting of the use of county facilities is something that the administrator can approve with as part of the county use policy.
I would have
Facilities.
had to let them know this board supports it.
So we do have a motion from Brenda expressing our support as this committee.
I'll second the motion.
We've got a second, so
Oh,
we'll do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Fournier,
yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, so next is the amended DHD four lease. So you have the amendment. It's really, it's a very, very minor amendment, but we just wanted to make sure that we have the lease accurate for our records. They wanted to swap office spaces. The old office that they had was 110 square feet. The new office is 150 square feet, represents about a 40 cents change in the lease rate. But this way we have it appropriately documented for the spaces that they are occupying.
Do you approval vote for that?
Yes, please.
Yes, you do.
Do we need to start with a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion from Brenda to move forward as stated, and a second from Commissioner Lay. We'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
Yes.
Thank you. The next up is the sign to put up for the sale of the M32 lots. So you have a mock-up of that sign. We do have funds in our outside consulting line that I can use to pay for this sign. It'd be about $800. I did run the sign by Mike Mahler. He thought it looked good. So this would be the sign to go up for the sale of the M32 lots, and it is double-sided.
Okay. Well, I'd like to look for a motion to forward with getting the sign in place.
I'll make the motion that we do the sign. You want both sides then?
Yes, the double-sided sign that is proposed there for the 800.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion and a support. We'll do the roll call vote.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
Yes.
And just for your information, I did receive some information from Mike Mahler just this morning about some recommended pricing for those lots. And I mean, really, it comes pretty closely in line with what we had discussed. The smaller ones in the range of 25 to 30,000, the larger ones in the range of 55 to 65,000 as sort of target pricing for those lots.
Okay. Are they restrictions on these lots?
The restrictions are height restrictions as far as building, but otherwise they are just restricted by the zoning from Wilson Township. So whatever Wilson Township approves, then that is what they can build there. They're commercial.
Okay, so I might be wrong, but I can remember back when, I think I can, that they were talking about somebody wanted to put in a restaurant, gas station, whatever. They had flashing lights, that was not.
Correct. There are some lighting
Yes,
having to do with the proximity to the airport.
yes. That was also an issue. Okay.
I see there are no prices on this sign. Do we need to take those prices before the full board for approval, or are we like?
Those really are targets. So obviously, if there is an offer for purchase, that will come to the board and will have to be approved. So at that time, you know, if for whatever reason you think it's not enough or there's some issue with it, then the board can address that at the time and not agree to accept the purchase offer.
Right.
I do.
They're on the west side of the road.
So you're challenging my cardinal directions.
West is that way.
Yes.
It's right next to the airport.
Yeah. But it's not on the
It is not on the airport
on the-
side, correct? It is on,
airport road, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It is on the opposite side from the airport of Airport Road.
I do think that we should just run those prices by the board. I think they're probably okay, but it can't, somebody makes an offer, we're not going to negotiate more money. I mean, we also need to price them to sell,
Yes.
you know?
Okay. I can put those, I mean, all of this information will go obviously on the full board for next meeting. So I will just include the recommendations on the pricing.
Okay, great. And I personally, I feel like it's in line, but we're gonna get one chance at putting a price tag on these things.
Let's,
All All right.
With that information. So the last one on here is the MDOT request to renew the lease. So their lease is expiring first of next year, and this would be to execute a new lease with MDOT. And this is again out at the airport, their building that's out there by the airport.
When is the last time that they've had like a price increase on this?
So this lot is actually the leasing because it is as part of the property that is closer to the airport. Those lease rates are actually governed by the FAA.
Okay.
So we don't have a lot of discretion on those lease rates.
And the only reason that I was asking, is because I didn't see anything in here about it, and I know they've been there for in excess of 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do we probably need a roll call vote to approve these? You know,
Yes, thank you.
so I will look for a roll call
I'll
vote
make that one.
to approve all four of these leases as stated. Right, so Brenda's made a motion.
I'll second it.
Got support from Commissioner LaHaye. We'll move on to a roll call vote.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
Yes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review these reports? If there's any questions, recycling?
I don't have any questions on it. I'll make a motion that we approve it.
We got a motion on the floor, looking for a second. We've got support from Commissioner Fournier with the motion. Hey, is there any discussion on this? Okay, good. We'll take a roll call vote. Do we need to vote on
No.
this? Just-
No, you just need to accept and.
now,
Okay. All right, we'll accept and file those reports.
I have a question
Okay,
before we adjourn.
sure.
At the airport, I happened to go by yesterday on my way to Atlanta. And they still have all those big piles of stuff. Is that going away anytime soon, or what are we doing with it?
Everything that is there is in place for the next phase of the project at the airport.
Okay,
The next phase, they'll be doing I believe it's 3,500 feet approximately.
Yeah.
From the very end of the runway by M32 to where the new asphalt is laid.
okay, and that's gonna be next summer, isn't it?
Yeah, the April, early, as soon
Spring?
as frost laws are off and the frost is out of the ground.
Okay,
Yep.
so isn't that's that grass stuff that grounded up that we had on the other,
Yes, a lot of that is the crushed concrete from the north segment.
and that, they can use that? I mean,
Yes, they'll use part of it. And then there will be further discussions when the project is over or close to over in, say, probably June, as to what is going to happen with the things that are remaining. They're going to use a very good portion of it, but they're going to create some new
all right,
waste product. I believe that the contract is stated, same as the first one. They are responsible to do that. When that time comes, maybe the county will end up with some of that as opposed to an expense of removing it. But if not, it'll all, at the end of the day, when the project is done, there will be no piles there. It'll be grass again.
okay. Okay,
All right, our next meeting is scheduled for January 17th. Is there any issues with that date from anybody here?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay,
support.
got a motion and support to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned.